Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm Diane and today we're going to be painting and drawing first of all some pen and ink birds and some fruits and some leaves and bits and pieces that all have a kind of autumn or fall feel to them. And I'm using a Viviva sketchbook here, which is a kind of hot press paper. And I've got a 0.2 waterproof fine liner here to do the sketching with. And when I come to doing the painting, I'm going to be using the latest Paul Rubens 48 pan set of watercolor paints, 5th generation, which I received the other day. So I'm just going to move this water out of the way here. And we'll start with this warming up. Start with a branch first. I've got a starling there, and I will draw him in a minute. So we're just going to outline, basically, sketchily, because this is a sketch, our subjects here. And in order to compose this, if you can call it that, I just literally started here with the blackberries and worked my way around and across the paper. I didn't put a great deal of planning into it. I quite like my paintings to be spontaneous. I think it's probably because I'm basically a very lazy sort of person, and I can't be bothered to spend too long on any one particular task. Perhaps I've got ADHD, because I can't stick with things for long, so attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I wish I was hyperactive, actually. Well, no, I don't. Who would want to be hyperactive? You'd never keep still, would you? But actually, I do find it quite hard to not do something, or to not do anything, not be doing anything. I know a lot of you are like that too. That's one of the reasons as we get older, we take up painting, I think, because as you do get older, of course, your energy levels drop a bit, and you find it harder to sort of just keep ploughing on with work and all that. So, but you don't want to sit and do nothing. I can't think of anything worse than, I don't know, sitting on a beach or sitting and watching the television or whatever. I can't stand that idea. So you have to be doing something. And painting is one very good answer, isn't it? I think. We all have our little ways of dealing with things. And I mean, my sister, for example, she loves to travel. She's not a maker. She doesn't create articles, although I'm sure she has a very beautiful house. But she creates memories by traveling and going to places. She was just telling me yesterday about a place called, now I knew I'd forget it, it's called something beginning with M, and it's in Italy, and it's a place where they used to live in caves, and apparently they have traces of a city having been there. I'll look it up, Modena, something like that. Yeah, and they've turned it into a World Heritage site now, and people go and stay in Airbnbs in this Stone Age city that's been there for, I don't know how many hundreds, thousands of years. I'll look it up. I'll look up the name of the place. But yeah, anyway, so that's interesting to hear about. But I am not a tourist. I'm not interested in... We used to have T-shirts when we lived in Egypt, and the T-shirts said, "I'm not a tourist, I live here." And that was the way we felt. Even though we actually probably were tourists, but we did actually live there. So I'm just, lightly sketching these leaves and things. It's when I do drawings, isn't it, that's when I tend to ramble on. When you're painting, these are blackberries, by the way, that's what they're meant to be. When you're painting, it's a bit more, you have to concentrate a bit more, don't you? So if you want to listen to me rambling, it's the drawings that you need to watch. We've had a very strange year with fruit in the garden. We have blackberries, and we have, normally we do, and we have, what do you call them, raspberries. In England, the raspberry season is usually in the summer. But this year, for some strange reason, we hardly had any at the right time, but we've still got raspberries, and it's now October. We've still got raspberries actually on the canes right now. And I don't know how many of you live in England, but if you live in England, I'd really like to hear whether or not you've also still got raspberries on your canes. It's quite peculiar, and they're edible as well. It's not as if they've gone funny. They don't taste strange. They're perfectly fine. Made a few jars of jam the other day from a little harvest that we made. And yeah, it's quite unusual. And the strawberries were all wrong as well. They were really late, but very, very small harvest of strawberries. Usually we get so many, don't know what to do with them, but we didn't really have any this year, I have to say. Nothing so that, you know, usually Tamsin comes into the house and she's like, and I go, oh my God, what am I supposed to do with all of those? But this year she didn't do that once with the strawberries. I have to be careful about eating them, because if I eat too many, I get a bit histamine-y. So I shouldn't eat too many at a time. All right, once they're cooked. So we've got some blackberries here, and we have got one blackberry bush that was given to us by our neighbour, but it's so bitter. Remember, we're in France, and I'm not sure, actually, that they really understand that kind of fruit here. I don't know. I don't think they do. I think well, actually, the French, and I mean, I'm sure you'll correct me if you're French if I'm wrong, but the French are not that keen on raw fruit. They cook it all. They cook their apples, they cook their pears, they cook their apricots, they cook their plums. And there's nothing wrong with cooking them, but in England, we tend to eat quite a lot of raw fruit too. I think that's what I understand anyway. I'm doing oak leaves here. And oak acorns. I mean, you know, French apricot tart and apple clafoutis and cherry clafoutis and all that stuff is really good. But I don't know. I think I'd just as soon eat the cherries uncooked. But mind you, again, another thing, as you start to get older, you begin to hesitate a little bit about raw this, that, and the other. Okay, so we're getting along here. This is going to be a pumpkin, and we go out from the center like that, our segments. And they have these curly things at the top there. And just here, I think we'll do some corn. We're surrounded by fields full of this stuff. You know, sweet corn on the cob. That's the first page. I think I might colour that in before I go on to the next thing. So let's find a brush. I wonder if that's too big. That's probably a bit too fat, that one. Let's go for something a little bit smaller. Size 4, 5, something like that. And what have we got? I've got my little cheat sheet here, so I can try and find what colour it is that's nearest to what I want for the blackberries. So I think this one here, I've abbreviated that to BB Violet, blue, I can't remember what that was. Just a sec. Let me look it up. Brilliant blue violet. Of course, why not? Why not? Brilliant blue violet. That is the fifth one along. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is this one. And I think people keep asking about the amount of water that I use when I'm painting in watercolor, and that, you know, is an unanswerable question because it depends on the paper that you're using and it depends on so many things. This paper is very absorbent and it sucks up the color really strongly, so you have to be super quick. And you get a certain look. Completely different from something like Meaden. And then to get the green, we're going to want to mix some orange with some green and red as well. Something like this, because these are blackberry leaves, they're bright red. So I think actually that with some purple. That would probably do. Yeah, you do have to work fast with this. And we have a nice little starling here, and he's going to be sort of black with a bit of purple mixed into him, because that's what they are. And a bit of light on his back. And I think we'll have some yellow butterflies. And we have pumpkins, which are orange, aren't they? Some quinacridone gold, perhaps. Oh no, not that colour. It's all okay as long as you keep varying. Varying the colours, you have to keep moving. And corn. And again, yellow. Now here we have oak leaves. And usually some of the oak will be brown and some will be green. So we mix it up. And our acorns. And let's go for a maple leaf. Okay. And up here, I think these were meant to be elderberries. Something like that. Just pick up some black. Okay, so that's that page. Now this one, we can do it the other way around. So we can start, we've still got this very difficult paper, but what we can do for this page is we can paint our leaves and our birds and everything first, very, very, very loosely. And then we'll go over the top, so we're going to do it the other way around. These are apples. Did have a good crop of apples this year. And here, I think these could be robins. They have brown bodies. This is the kind of sketch that you might do if you were actually outside and you wanted to capture a mood and you were sitting, perhaps drinking a cup of coffee or something like that on a park bench. And you just thought, oh, I think I'll just whip out my paints. And this is meant to be a rose hip. So these are going to be nice and red. And you know how impatient people can be if you keep them waiting. I'm just going to sit down and paint, you know. It doesn't always go down that well, does it? This is hawthorn. They're little curly sort of leaves. And they have red berries. Once I've got all the colour in, I'll come back with a pen. And this is Sycamore Keys. It's not mistletoe. It looks a bit like mistletoe, but it doesn't have berries. I don't know what this is. It's purple berries. Can't remember. And here we have a dragonfly, so I'm going to paint him in gold. It's handy to have a gold in this set. It should be green, shouldn't it? Yeah, in the Paul Rubens set there is a green. Sorry, there is a gold. And here we have a butternut squash, which is going to be a sort of butternut squashy kind of colour. And another one, another squash. And down here we have some more apples. I'm going to do these ones green. There we are. Okay. So this will be another double page spread in my sketchbook. Let's start up here with the owl. And our apples here. As soon as you start to put the lines on, everything changes and it becomes a completely different animal or plant. It's a completely different thing. You can really change the whole appearance. The great thing about this is that you can just, you know, once you've done something like this a few times, it starts to become a little bit automatic. So you have to remember to keep on practicing. These are roses, so roses have got this kind of leaf. And these are rose hips, so they have that kind of thing at the bottom, don't they? And some thorns. So when you've put the colour in first, I think it makes it a freer experience altogether. So you put the colour in first and then you put the shape of the leaf or the flower or the bird. I keep thinking about the ambulance that I saw over the road just as I was coming up to the studio this afternoon. I don't know who that was. We've only got one neighbour. I know it was their house. I hope it's nothing serious. So if I go silent, it's because I'm sort of dwelling on that a little bit. Just wondering what's happened. I know they're both in their late 70s. I hope Michelle hasn't had an accident because he's a very active gardener. Right, we've got now to the ash keys. And these things kind of split here. So I'm deliberately not drawing where the line, where the colour is. I deliberately wanted to go away from that. Just because. An apple. Misshapen apples, not like we get in the supermarkets, all over the place. And finally, the butternut squash nose end. When I say finally, it doesn't mean it's time to go to bed and biscuit time or anything like that. In the evening when I finish up here and I close my iPad, the minute I shut the iPad, he's up and out in the kitchen waiting for his treats. So I have to pretend, close it and open it again and say, nope, you're wrong. Nope. Okay, so there's our squash. And all we need to do now is just write autumn fruits. And we're done. So that's that. One autumn little panorama. And two different ways of doing it. Either you do the drawing first and colour it in, or you do the colouring in and then draw it. Either way, it comes basically the same thing, but I personally enjoy doing it that way more. But yes, this book, by the way, this Viviva book is a challenge. I don't recommend it. If I were you, I would get the Strathmore one that's this size. You can get that easily on Amazon, and the paper is much, much more friendly. This paper is challenging. So I'm going to let you go. And don't forget to like and subscribe, turn on notifications, and consider becoming a member of our channel on Patreon. I mean, on our page on Patreon. And I will see you again soon. Bye for now, everybody. Bye-bye.